All right, the final weekend of September is here. The rust should be knocked off by now. The Lancers hanging with the best in the Midwestern, and we may need to put a third digit on Sheldon's scoreboard. The Cottage Grove Lions are 4-0 to start the season. We're almost halfway through the season. The cream starting to rise to the top.
Now, Friday Night Blitz on KEZI 9 News.
All right, leaves are on the ground. The fall weather's here. Football season is in full swing. Welcome back into the Friday Night Blitz. Cameron Derby, Nick Ursini, once again. How you feeling? We're about halfway through. It seems like there shouldn't be any more excuses for any teams anymore. You got to get things cleaned up. You got to start getting ready to roll because in 2 or 3 weeks we're going to start thinking about playoffs.
Yeah, you can't play down to your competition. If you're one of the best teams, you got to play like one of the best teams. You know who your team is. You know who your offense is. You got to get things moving here because, again, it's starting to feel colder. Next time we play, it's going to be October. Playoffs are right around the corner.
One of the cooler things to see, it doesn't matter what league, what conference it's in, there's always one team that kind of starts to shine that maybe you didn't think was going to shine. Mm-hmm. We kind of started to see that situation a little bit develop with the Churchill Lancers. Let's start in 5A where we find our game of the week. More on that in a moment. But right now the season is almost halfway over. That means as early as it feels, you have to start thinking about the postseason at least a little bit. Thurston and Willamette atop the Midwestern, but Churchill and Crater duking it out for that third place spot. Why is that important? Because 3 automatic playoff spots come out of the Midwestern, so a must-win game between Crater and Churchill. First Lancer drive, play action pass, Lucas Ganson, TJ Wright, teardrop, perfectly placed. The Lancers would score on their first 2 drives, up 14-0 late into the second quarter. And that's where we pick it up with a pick 6. Aiden Pangolian, 37-yard house call, nothing but green grass ahead. The shutout is on in Eugene. The Lancers with a 22-0 lead into the half. Churchill picking up where they left off. Third quarter, 4th and goal. Ganson to Lucas Babbitt, right down the middle in the late slant. The Lancer offense is real this season. Third offensive score of the night, the second for Ganson. Churchill looking to put this one on ice. Seville Pazzi, right-hand side, bouncing off linemen, spinning into the end zone. The Lancers shut out the Comets at home. Their largest win over Crater since the 2018 season. The final from Lancer territory, 34-0. I got to watch a little bit of this game, Nick, when I got home from the Sheldon game, and I was really impressed with the defense. They shut Crater down in all facets of the game, and Ben Higginson, the Comets quarterback, he's a good quarterback. And now because of this Churchill team and the success it's starting to have, we're starting to have an interesting race here in the Midwestern.
Yeah, and it's probably, you mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's not one that we thought was actually maybe going to happen. It's not something that we saw when we first predicted this. Of course, Thurston is that team to beat, right? And we're going to talk about Thurston in a little bit. But the way that Churchill's doing it, again, this is a team that knows how to use the assets that they have. They rely very heavily on the ground game, but when you're putting up 30 points like this religiously, it's going to be very hard for any team to try to come in and beat you. Now, I mentioned Thurston. It was a close one down in Roseburg. Noah Blair led a game-winning drive capped off by a Cruz Gray touchdown rush with just over a minute to go. 31-24 was that final score. The Colts are now 5-0. They will take on Churchill next week. That's at Thurston, while Roseburg comes up I-5 to take on North Eugene.
And meanwhile, the other team in that three-headed dragon of a race, if you will, Willamette trying to keep pace with Thurston right now. The Wolverines 3-0 to start the season. After going winless last year, first long road trip of the season. Nick, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, down in Eagle Point, out at the Eagles' Nest. Wolverines in town. Eagle Point hoping to hand them their first loss. First quarter, Willamette driving. Camden Murray reads the play, and that's a pick 6. Murray puts the Eagles on the board, 7-0. Then in the second quarter, the Wolverines in the red zone. Trey People hands it off to Maverick Akers, and he does the rest and ties this game at 7. Just seconds left in the first half. People steps back to pass. Tyson Rather is there to make the catch in the end zone, and that would be the deciding factor. The Wolverines do walk away with a 14-7 victory. Willamette is still undefeated, along with Thurston and Churchill. North Eugene visiting the Millers at Silky Field. We'll pick this one up in the second. The Highlanders up 7-0. Brody Gillum lets this one fly. Aiden Hibbler is there for the touchdown, and North is up 14-0. First play of the second half, it's Noah Solo. He finds a lane on the QB draw, bounces off a defender, and that is 75 yards to the house. Turf's looking nice there at Silky Field, but the Millers are still down by a touchdown. The Highlanders would answer 21-7 at this point, but Clay Rhodes on the kick return, he gets to the sideline, and nobody's catching him. That is an 82-yard house call. The Millers not going away, 21-14 now. North, though, just too much. Gillum again, this time looking deep, hits Tayshawn Trousen for 6. That would be the dagger, and the Highlanders come out on top 27-20, the final from Silky.
Let's jump up to 6A. 6th-ranked Sheldon taking on McNary at Dennis Ludwig Stadium. Head coach Tyler Martell's birthday, by the way. The students just bonkers at this place. First snap of the game, Kelson Sperry, Jice Jones, 80 big ones. He's behind the safety, and that's never good for a defense. And that's quite the way to throw a punch early. And the Sheldon mascot, he was throwing punches early too. 14-0 Irish, busted coverage. It's literally going to get no easier than this for Brody Thomas. And just like that, it's 20-0. Still, or 21-0, I should say. Still in the first quarter. Look out for Logan Fife. Sheldon forces a punt that goes into the back of the end zone for a safety. So at 23-0, that is the correct score. Jones on the kick return. And if you see a special team in a highlight, it's usually because it's going back to the house. Sheldon was up 30-0 with 3:54 left in the first quarter. They won it by a lot.
Yeah, they're putting up a lot of points. This Tyler Martell offense is certainly fast. They put up a lot of points. There's a Tuioti who's in the backfield as well, too, which is always a good thing. You got to see them. I saw them a couple weeks ago. One of those teams where we didn't know what to expect, a lot of turnover. So far, so good.
Yeah, this is the first time that I've got to see them this season. People at home don't know that we go to so many different games throughout the nights. This is the first time I've got to see Sheldon and really watch him play in detail. 2 of the first 3 drives of the game, they scored on the first play. This Tyler Martell offense can hit you in bunches with big explosive plays, and explosive plays will win football games, but no game this season for Sheldon, fewer than 40 points scored. This is one of the best offenses in the state. Sheldon gets the Salem schools in the next 2 weeks. Next week on the road against North, then back at home against South. But I can tell you, I'm already looking forward to that Sprague-Sheldon season finale.